Usually we talk to Darren Copeland on the phone.
But he's here.
Well, he's usually in a robe and, his slippers, sipping a cup of coffee, maybe lying in bed doing something. But he's in today.
Yes.
And looking good, man.
Hey, looking sharp.
Had to come in after this big win.
I hear you, dude.
What'd you think?
I was surprised. Surprised to tell you the truth.
I was like, I thought, well, they wouldn't come out that fast, or if they did, KC'd figure it out, adjust, and come back.
Well, I was surprised, as we talked about, I was surprised, not that they won, but the way they won. You're talking about a fake punt. Okay, you're talking about safety blitzes. You're talking about Peyton Manning under 200 yards passing. How they did it, I think, is a surprising part. They dominated Kansas City in KC on a cold, windy night.
Yeah, well, you knew after the Miami game that they were going to run the ball again, and you didn't know if it was going to be as effective as they were against Miami. But when they were able to come out in the first drive and be able to actually, run the ball as effectively as they were, taking what the defense gives them, which has been a problem because when the Broncos traditionally go in, they say, well, let's see if they can run the ball, and now they can. So, and when you run the ball, that lets the defense get a rest, and when the defense gets rested, they're much better stopping Kansas City Chiefs. So this is as impressive a win as you've seen this year, I think.
And the newest player on the roster got a workout last night.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting that, but hey, listen.
5 tries for Connor Barth. They got them all.
Hey, field goals are hard regardless what side, especially in the win, so I'll take 5 of 5. Tied as
How many times did the ball fall over last night? About 10. They finally
That's the thing.
Just
you
have somebody
can see
hold
the
it.
win. Somebody had to hold the ball for him on kickoff. So that cuts down your distance anyway, but he's not going to kick it. The bottom line is the Broncos coverage special teams are going to have to play now.
Right.
Because it's not going into the end zone, I don't think. That's not his deal. He didn't even kick off in Tampa. They had 2 kickers in Tampa. He kicked field goals and the other guy kicked off. So we're not going to see touchbacks as much as we saw before.
But I think that what you're seeing now is Mr. Bolden, who had a heck of a game, sort of unsung for the special teams, gets a fumble recovery, makes a few key tackles, is in on a couple long returns. That guy's going to be much more important to the Broncos going forward.
Darren, we talked about this last week, being sort of a playoff atmosphere with the crowd at Arrowhead, with the weather, the way it was going to be, with 2 teams, separated by 1 game in the division, that the Broncos, this was going to be kind of the biggest test of the year for them on the road. They lost to New England, but this was, as we head towards the end of the season, this was going to show us kind of what it might be during the playoffs.
Yeah, and then you add in the whole hoopla surrounding Eric Berry, which was really rallied the Kansas City Chiefs around them, and you knew it was going to be a difficult situation. Now, the Broncos have won 3 straight at Kansas City, which is something they haven't done in a while, but I think this is a big win. I think more than anything, it's a confidence builder for the Broncos because now they know that they can go in, they can run the ball in cold weather, and and get business and take care of business.
Made a lot of adjustments, and it worked out for them.
They did.
Anything that you were concerned about you saw last night?
I was a little concerned about, and the Broncos have done this traditionally, where they get off to kind of a quick start, score 14 points in the first end, and then they don't get in the end zone again. Now, I'll take field goals all the time, but that's going to be something going forward. Something I didn't know is actually when you think about the offensive line, I was worried about the offensive line, but 3 of those guys were on the #1 rushing offense when Tim Tebow was here. So they do know how to rush the ball if they want to, and they certainly proved it yesterday. But we'll see. That consistency is the thing here. So make sure they come back, do it against the Bills, who have a very difficult defense to play against, and then you got to win out.
So we play the Bills. So to the Patriots as well, right? The Patriots have the Bills coming up, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll check their schedule, but definitely. The Broncos were at home, I would say, against the Bills. They were in San Diego and in Cincinnati, and then against the Raiders. So those Chargers-Bengals games on the road are going to have that same kind of atmosphere as well. As you get towards, the final 4 games of the season, you're talking playoffs almost every time because you don't want to. You're right behind the Patriots, all right, for that #1 seed in the AFC.
Overall in AFC,
And that is so huge to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, especially with New England playing. New England went into Green Bay and almost beat the Packers, That was a great game. That was a Super Bowl preview. Who knows? But that's what everybody was saying.
That was a fun game to watch.
Right. So you're right, Darren. Win out and see what happens. That's what you got to do.
When you look on the New England schedule as well, and you see that the Dolphins have beaten New England once this year. Don't sleep on the Jets at home against New England. That's always been a tough place.
I'm going to sleep on that. Okay, I'm going to sleep right through that
Well,
one.
you got to hope. There's got to be hope. There's got to be hope. There's got to be hope.
Maybe you never know. Stranger things in the NFL.
Stranger things
right?
have happened. Yes, maybe not that strange.
Okay, that's true. That's right. Yeah, the Raiders. But yeah, never mind. All right. Well, Darren, thanks.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Good to see you too.
Great to see you
Sure.
in here.
Yeah, bright and early.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You all right? You too.